Most men think walking away means weakness. They believe stepping back shows they lost. But the opposite is true. Walking away is not retreat, it's power. The kind of power most men never discover because they are too busy chasing approval, validation, or emotional scraps from women who never truly value them in the first place. What happens when you stop chasing? What happens when you go silent? Not as a game, but because you're done with the games. What does a woman really feel when the man who once gave her everything suddenly gives her nothing? This isn't about being cold. This is about waking up. It's about seeing the emotional manipulation, the control disguised as affection, and choosing to take your power back. Not with words, not with anger, just silence, just distance, just peace. This video will break it all down. Every emotional stage she experiences when you walk away. Not as a maybe, as a certainty. Because once you truly walk, everything changes. If you're tired of feeling powerless, confused, or emotionally drained, this is the turning point. And if this helps you, support the channel, subscribe, share, and comment. Because this kind of message needs to reach every man who's been told he should beg for what he should have walked away from. Let's dive deep. Phase 1, shock and denial. When you finally walk away from a woman, truly walk, not just pulling back for a few hours or disappearing for the weekend, her world doesn't immediately collapse. She's too used to men pretending to leave. She's seen it dozens of times. Men say they're done. Deep down, they're hoping their exit sparks attention, so they wait. They watch her stories. They drop likes on her new post. They can't resist the temptation to tap that heart icon just to stay on her radar. And she knows this. She's learned it over time. Most men don't stay gone. That's why, when you go silent, she doesn't panic right away. Her ego blocks the possibility that this silence is real. In her mind, this is just another performance. A short-lived moment of drama where she plays the cool, confident woman while you circle back in a few days, tail between your legs, trying to win her attention again. She's seen that movie before, many times. So, she relaxes, she thinks this is a game, and she believes she already knows how it ends. She might even start playing her usual moves, posting a story with a perfectly filtered picture of her smiling, out with friends, maybe next to another guy. Or she reposts a quote that screams independence, something like, "I don't chase, I attract." It's all calculated, all bait. None of it is by accident. Every post is designed to poke your emotions, to make you react. Not because she misses you, not because she regrets anything, but because she wants to confirm she still has power over you. She waits, she refreshes, she checks. Her eyes flick to the notification bar, waiting for that ping from you, that heart on her story, that hey text she knows is coming, because it always comes, it always has. But this time, it doesn't. One day passes, nothing. 2 days, silence, a week, still nothing, no messages, no likes, no reactions. You're not online. You're not peeking at her stories. You're not even giving her passive attention. And slowly the realization starts to creep in. Not just that you're quiet, but that your silence is different. Heavier. Real. At first, she shrugs it off. He's just being dramatic, she tells herself. He'll come back. But your absence stretches on. It becomes too long to be a tantrum, too consistent to be a trick. And the deeper your silence gets, the louder the noise becomes inside her own mind. The confusion begins. Is he really done? Why hasn't he reached out? Has he moved on? Her confidence starts to tremble. She replays the last few conversations, overanalyzing every word, trying to find where the shift began. She opens your old messages, looking for signs, looking for proof that you're still emotionally hooked. And here's what hurts her the most. You were the consistent one. You were the one always there. You cared openly. You gave attention, energy, and validation without hesitation. You were predictable, steady, and emotionally invested. But now, that version of you is gone. Without warning, the man who always cared simply stopped. And she doesn't know what to do with that silence. It's not just the absence of texts, it's the absence of presence. Your emotional energy has been cut off, and she can feel it like a switch has flipped. The same attention that once gave her confidence, that filled her ego and validated her worth, it's vanished. You were a mirror she used to see her value, and now that mirror is gone. She doesn't see herself the same anymore. Her confidence begins to crack, but she won't admit it. Not to you, not to anyone. She'll act normal on the outside, but inside, there's a growing discomfort she can't shake. She starts wondering who you're with, if there's another woman, if you've replaced her. The idea that she's been left for someone else feels unbearable. But what scares her more is the idea that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't good enough to keep your attention in the first place. That kind of doubt is a foreign feeling for her. She's used to being chased, she's used to being in control, but now, for the first time, she's experiencing what most men go through regularly, feeling ignored, unimportant, and emotionally powerless. And you haven't said a word. This is when shock starts to turn into denial. She convinces herself you're just playing a game, that you're watching from the shadows, waiting for the right moment to reappear. She tells herself that your silence is fake, that you're hurting more than she is, that you'll break first. And so, she doubles down, posts more stories, looks even better, does everything she can to get a reaction from you. But nothing works. You remain silent, steady, unmoved. That silence becomes a mirror for her own insecurity, reflecting back everything she's tried to hide. Because when you stop giving her the validation she was used to, the entire fantasy she built around your role in her life begins to collapse. She doesn't miss you yet, not the man himself. What she misses is the feeling of being wanted, the comfort of knowing someone out there cared about her every post, every move, every message. That attention was fuel, and now the tank is empty. And here's what's most dangerous to her ego: when she realizes she's not in control anymore. You're not chasing, you're not waiting, you're not asking why. You've simply walked away. And in that moment, the first crack forms. Because the woman who once thought she owned your attention suddenly understands. She never owned anything. Not your loyalty, not your mind, and definitely not your soul. You were never hers. She just forgot that men who value themselves don't stay where they're not valued. And now she knows. This isn't temporary. You're really gone. Phase 2, self-doubt and reflection. As the silence stretches into days and then weeks, something begins to shift, not in your world, but in hers. At first, she was confident. She believed you were bluffing, that you were pulling back just to get her attention, and she expected to be proven right. But now, that confidence is starting to fracture, not in big, obvious ways, but in small, creeping moments that stack up until they become overwhelming. She starts to notice your absence, not just online, but everywhere. There's no text waiting for her in the morning, no reply to the meme she dropped into your DMs, no passive-aggressive like on her story, nothing. You've become a ghost, and not the kind she can manipulate or guilt-trip into reappearing. You've become quiet in a way that's not strategic, it's complete, and it terrifies her. At night, she scrolls through your old conversations, not because she misses you, but because she's searching for clues. Where did the shift happen? What did she say that made you turn off? She rereads her own texts, questioning her tone. Was she too cold? Too confident? Too distant? She watches your last scene, your profile picture, your social media. If you post, she analyzes the caption. If you don't, she checks every few hours just to see if you've been active. She even creates fake accounts, burner profiles, just to watch your stories from the shadows. Because in her world, where attention is currency, losing yours feels like going broke. You were a source of validation. Now, you're gone. And she's not used to that feeling. She's not used to chasing. She's used to being chased. Every time she sees that you haven't reacted, that you haven't watched, liked, replied, or even flinched, her heart sinks a little deeper. And slowly, what began as confusion turns into insecurity. Her inner voice, once loud with certainty, now starts asking questions she doesn't have answers for. Why isn't he watching? Did he meet someone better? Was I not enough? Did I lose him for good? These thoughts play on repeat in her mind, looping over and over until they start to infect her self-image. She looks in the mirror, not to admire herself, but to inspect. Her hair, her makeup, her outfit. Suddenly they're not enough. They're not working. They're not pulling you back like they used to. So, she tries harder. Her Instagram feed becomes more curated, her outfits more revealing, her makeup more dramatic. She wants you to notice. She wants you to feel like you made a mistake. But deeper than that, she needs proof that she still has power. Because without your attention, she doesn't feel as beautiful. Without your validation, she doesn't feel as desirable. She was never used to relying on her own sense of worth, because for years, men handed it to her daily. Compliments, likes, fire emojis. Paragraphs from guys telling her how perfect she is. It was her norm. But your silence has disrupted all of that. It's louder than all those compliments. It's more powerful than any message, because it's unfamiliar. And what's unfamiliar becomes threatening. She begins comparing herself to other women, looking through your followers, checking every new like you give. If you follow someone new, she investigates. If that woman is attractive, her anxiety spikes. If she sees you laughing, smiling, or living like you've moved on, it's a dagger, because she was supposed to be unforgettable. She was supposed to be the one who mattered the most, the one you could never replace. But now, for the first time, she's starting to believe a thought that terrifies her. Maybe you were the one who mattered more. Maybe she wasn't as special as she believed. Maybe she didn't mean as much as she told herself. And maybe, just maybe, you were the prize all along. This realization doesn't hit all at once. Creeps in slowly, like rust, like decay. It starts with self-doubt, but turns into self-reflection. Late at night, she replays the way she treated you. The times she ignored your messages, the moments she left you on read, the emotional games she played to keep you hooked while she gave her energy elsewhere. It all replays. And now, without your reaction to distract her, she's forced to sit in the silence. And that silence holds up a mirror, a brutal, honest mirror. For the first time, she's forced to confront a truth she never wanted to face. She thought she had you wrapped around her finger, but the whole time, you were choosing to stay. You were giving her your presence. You were offering your value. You were pouring energy into someone who didn't know how to respect it. And now that it's gone, she feels the loss like oxygen leaving a room. And this isn't about love, not yet. It's about power. The emotional power you once handed to her on a silver platter, now stripped away. She's not sad you're gone. She's shaken that you had the strength to walk away. Because strength is attractive, strength is magnetic, and now she wants it back. But there's no handle to grab, no hook to pull. You've given her nothing. No breadcrumbs, no hints, no cracks in the door, just silence. And silence is the one thing she can't fight. So now she waits. And while she waits, she questions. And while she questions, she crumbles. Because deep down, she knows she's not in control anymore. And you are. Phase 3, rationalization and rebound. After weeks of silence and watching you remain unshaken, she reaches a point where the weight of uncertainty becomes too much to carry. She can no longer tolerate the growing discomfort of not knowing why you haven't returned. The confusion, the doubt, and the mirror of her own choices are too overwhelming. So her mind begins doing what the human mind always does when under threat. It creates a story. Not one rooted in truth, but one that helps her feel okay with what's happening. And this is where the rationalization begins. She doesn't want to admit that she was left. She doesn't want to face the reality that you didn't come back. Not because you were playing hard to get, but because you actually outgrew her. She can't bring herself to acknowledge that maybe, just maybe, she pushed away someone who was real. So instead she rewrites the script. You were too emotional, you cared too much, you texted too often, you showed too much affection, you must have been weak, you must have been insecure, you must have been controlling. That's the only explanation her ego can accept. Because the alternative, that she lost a good man who simply got tired of her emotional games, would crush the image she's built of herself for years. So, she tells her friends a different story. Not the truth, but a version that makes her feel powerful again. I had to cut him off. He was too needy. I was already thinking of moving on before he even stopped texting. These aren't statements of fact. They're protective armor. Armor built to shield her from the sting of rejection. Because deep inside, the idea that you stopped caring before she did is not just painful, it's humiliating. She may never admit this to anyone, but you know it's true, because her actions start telling the story her words try to hide. She starts posting more frequently, smiling harder, laughing louder, taking more selfies, capturing every moment that paints the picture of a woman completely unbothered. But if you look closely, it's forced. The captions feel exaggerated. The smiles don't reach her eyes. The energy feels manic, not magnetic. Because it's not natural, it's survival. She's trying to convince herself, and everyone watching, that she won, that she's happy, that losing you wasn't a loss at all. But it doesn't stop there. She needs more than just social media smokescreens. She needs physical proof that she's moved on, so she finds someone new. A rebound, often quickly. Not because she's found real connection, but because silence is unbearable. And filling that space with someone, anyone, is easier than sitting with her own thoughts. This new guy may look like you, act a little like you, maybe even say the same kind of things you used to say. But there's one key difference. He's not you. He doesn't challenge her emotionally. He doesn't have the same intensity or clarity. He doesn't have the same standard. He's just there. He's a placeholder. Someone who responds to her messages quickly, says yes to everything, doesn't question her, doesn't walk away. In short, he's safe. And that's exactly why he doesn't satisfy her. She might post him. She might show off their outings. She might lean in a little too close in those pictures. But deep inside, she knows this isn't it. He doesn't replace you. He doesn't restore what was lost. He just distracts her from thinking about the one thing she doesn't want to admit, that she let go of something rare. Because no matter how loud she laughs or how often she posts him, there's still a part of her that wonders what you're doing, where you are, who you're with, whether or not you still think about her. And every time she checks your page and sees you at peace, calm, unfazed, moving forward, something stings. Because that's not the script she wanted. She wanted to see regret in your eyes. She wanted you to miss her, to break, to beg. She didn't expect you to grow. She didn't think you'd be the one who came out stronger, and it forces her to sit with an uncomfortable truth. Maybe she underestimated you. Maybe she mistook kindness for weakness. And maybe the real power in the relationship was never hers to begin with. This realization doesn't come with fireworks. It comes slowly, like water rising in a sinking room. Every smile that doesn't feel real, every post that doesn't get your reaction, every night she lies next to someone else while still thinking of you. Each moment adds to the quiet understanding that she lost something real, and it was her fault. But even in that understanding, she won't reach out. Not out of pride, but out of fear. Because if she reaches out and you don't respond, the illusion is shattered completely. If she sends that message and it gets ignored, she'll have no choice but to accept the truth, that you're truly done, that you've moved on, that you're not checking for her, not waiting, not hoping, not missing. That's a truth her ego can't survive. So instead, she stays silent. She keeps pretending. She keeps posting. She keeps dating. But it's all hollow, all for show. Because deep down, no matter how many filters she uses, no matter how many new men she surrounds herself with, she knows exactly what she lost. She lost a man who had the strength to walk away. And that kind of man is rare. You didn't need revenge. You didn't need to prove anything. Your silence was louder than any message. Your peace was more painful than any argument. And your absence was the loudest proof that she never truly had power over you. She won't say it. She'll never message it, but she feels it. And it will haunt her for a long, long time. Stoic power, the masculine advantage. There comes a moment, usually after the pain has passed, after the longing fades, and after the chaos settles, where a man stands face to face with a truth that changes everything. The real win was never about getting her back. It was about getting yourself back. All of you, your time, your focus, your energy, your peace. You start to realize that peace is power, that silence is strength, that walking away is not an act of revenge, but an act of rebirth. Stoic men don't chase validation. They don't beg to be seen. They don't crumble when attention is withdrawn. A Stoic man understands that real power lies in what you can control. And the only thing you can ever truly control is yourself, your mind, your actions, your direction. So he watches, he listens, but he doesn't react. He doesn't engage in drama. He doesn't argue to prove a point. He doesn't scream to be understood. Because he understands something deeper. Attention given freely to chaos is energy stolen from purpose. You see, when you walk away, it's not just a physical act. It's spiritual. It's symbolic. It tells the world, and more importantly, yourself, that you are no longer for sale, that your dignity is no longer negotiable, that your self-worth no longer depends on anyone's approval, not even hers. This is Stoic power. It's not flashy, it's not loud. It doesn't come with fireworks or applause. But it's real, it's steady, it lasts. When a Stoic man walks away, he doesn't do it to create distance from someone else. He does it to return to himself. He detaches, not because he's emotionless, but because he refuses to let his emotions own him. He refuses to let his mood be dictated by someone else's inconsistency. He won't be ruled by the highs and lows of a relationship built on control, attention, and ego. Because a man who has built himself doesn't need to chase. He doesn't need to prove. He doesn't need to win anyone over. He becomes the man who is already enough, with or without her. And here's the truth. When you finally become that man, everything changes. You stop needing women who drain you. You stop being pulled into the same cycles. You stop tolerating disrespect in the name of attraction. Because the man who knows his value doesn't negotiate with anyone who can't recognize it. Your energy, your attention, your presence, it becomes expensive, not in arrogance, but in discipline. You no longer give it away easily because you've learned how much it costs to rebuild after it's been wasted. So you stay calm, you stay grounded, and you protect your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. Every minute you waste chasing validation is a minute you could have been building something. Your business, your body, your mission, your future. And here's what's wild. The moment you become this man, the same people who once overlooked you, the same woman who thought you'd never leave, they begin to notice. They feel your absence like a weight. Your silence starts speaking louder than your presence ever did. But now, you don't return. Not because you're bitter, not because you want to punish anyone, but because the version of you that once tolerated disrespect no longer exists. That man died the moment you chose discipline over desperation. The day you said no more. The day you stopped being a prisoner to the cycle. That's Stoicism. It's not emotional numbness, it's emotional maturity. It's not indifference, it's independence. It's the freedom to feel everything and still choose clarity over chaos. This kind of man doesn't wait to be chosen. He doesn't sit around wondering why she pulled away. He doesn't break because someone stopped texting. He understands this one eternal truth. Nothing real can ever be taken from him, and anything that can be taken wasn't real to begin with. So he doesn't cling, he doesn't beg, he lets go, because he trusts what's meant for him will never require him to lose himself to keep it. And in that quiet strength, in that still confidence, he becomes magnetic, unforgettable. Not because he plays games, but because he plays none at all. He is direct, focused, unbothered, a storm within calm waters. And in a world full of noise, that silence becomes deafening. So, what does a woman feel when you walk away? Everything: confusion, panic, regret, jealousy. But above all, loss. Not of you, but of what you represented. Her power, her mirror, her emotional supply. But you gain everything. You gain clarity, peace, power, and the ability to lead your own story. She wanted to be chased. You chose to lead. She wanted control. You chose growth. She wanted attention. You chose silence. You didn't lose her. You found yourself. If you made it to the end of this video, comment unstoppable. That tells me you're not just watching, you're leveling up. Subscribe to the channel if you're done playing the game and ready to master yourself. And support this message so more men can hear what they were never told. Because this isn't just content, it's a movement. Every subscription, every like, every share helps another man break free. You are the prize. You are the fire. Walk away and don't look back.